Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, where did the time go? Maybe you've noticed a few more lines, or that climbing the stairs takes a little longer than it used to. Or perhaps there are days when your energy just seems to vanish, no matter how well you slept. If that sounds familiar, let me tell you, you're not alone. But here's something most people don't talk about: longevity, living not just longer, but better, isn't something that just happens to the lucky few with good genes. No, it's something you can build. Day by day. Step by step. And while the body plays its part, the real secret lies in something even more powerful: your mind, and your ability to keep going. In today's video, we're diving deep into what it really takes to live a long, fulfilling life, one where you still feel alive every morning, excited to get out of bed, and full of purpose. Not just existing, but truly living. And I'm going to share with you some simple, powerful habits that will help you feel younger, more energized, and more in control of your well-being, no matter what age the calendar says. Let's start with something that might surprise you: the way you think about aging can actually change the way you age. That's right, your mindset isn't just a nice little bonus. It's everything. You see, when we start believing that getting older means getting weaker, slower, or less relevant, our body listens. We move less. We engage less. And little by little, we fade. But flip that script, start believing that this stage of life can be just as rich, meaningful, and powerful as any other, and your body begins to respond differently. I met a gentleman last year, 82 years old, still riding his bike every morning. When I asked him what his secret was, he didn't talk about supplements or diet plans. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "I never stopped seeing myself as capable." That hit me. Because he's right. The moment we see ourselves as too old to grow, we stop growing. So, the first habit I want to talk about is this: train your mind like you train your muscles. How do you do that? Start small. Begin your mornings with 5 minutes of stillness. Sit with your thoughts. Practice gratitude. Reflect on what you can do today, instead of what you can't. Maybe you can go for a walk, call a friend, learn something new. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Rewire the story you're telling yourself, because your body follows the story your mind believes. And speaking of movement, let's talk about the next key to staying vibrant: persistence in motion. Now, I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting weights like you're 25. I'm talking about choosing to move, every single day, even when it would be easier to sit still. A body in motion stays in motion, and the moment we stop moving, we start slipping, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally too. One of my favorite examples is an older woman named Min. She's 74, lives by herself, and every morning without fail, she does a 15-minute stretching routine in her kitchen. Nothing fancy. No gym. Just a yoga mat and the quiet hum of the kettle boiling. She told me she started doing it after her doctor warned her she was losing mobility in her hips. That was 5 years ago. Today, she moves like someone 20 years younger. But it's not just the movement, it's the decision to keep going. To show up for herself, every day. Even when no one's watching. And let's be honest, it's not always easy. Some mornings you'll wake up stiff, tired, or just not in the mood. But here's where persistence comes in. Longevity isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the quiet ones, when you choose to keep going even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. That's where the magic happens. Now, while we're on the topic of motion, I want to remind you, movement doesn't have to be a chore. In fact, the more joy you can attach to it, the better. Maybe you dance to an old favorite song while making lunch. Or take a slow stroll around the block with your grandchild, pointing out the trees and flowers like it's the first time you've seen them. Or maybe you tend to your garden, pulling weeds and talking to your plants like they're old friends. That's motion. That's medicine. And it counts, more than you know. So far, we've touched on the power of your mindset and the importance of daily movement. These are more than just tips, they're choices. Choices that send a message to your body that you're not done yet. That you still have stories to tell, places to go, and people to love. But let me tell you something even more powerful: the more you believe in your ability to grow, the more you will grow. The brain, even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, can still form new connections, learn new skills, and adapt in incredible ways. It's called neuroplasticity. Scientists used to think the brain stopped changing after a certain age. But guess what? That's been proven wrong. Again and again. Your mind is capable of far more than you've been led to believe. Which brings me to something else that often gets overlooked: your purpose. You see, it's one thing to live longer, but it's another thing entirely to feel like your life still matters. Purpose isn't just for the young. In fact, as we age, it becomes even more important. It keeps us grounded, gives us direction, fills our days with meaning. And purpose doesn't have to be grand. It could be as simple as being the one who always remembers family birthdays. Or teaching your grandson how to fish. Or writing letters to your younger self. Or volunteering at the local shelter once a month. What matters is that it gives you a reason to show up every day with a full heart and a ready smile. You've made it this far, not by accident, but because you've already shown strength, resilience, and heart. So now, let's take that same strength and carry it forward into the years ahead, with more energy, more clarity, and more joy than you thought possible. Now that we've opened the door to how mindset and motion shape the way we age, let's go a little deeper. Let's go a little deeper, because staying young at heart and strong in spirit isn't just about moving your body and thinking good thoughts. It's also about staying connected, to yourself, to others, and to life. Have you ever noticed how a simple conversation can lift your mood? Or how a quiet cup of tea shared with an old friend can bring peace to an otherwise restless day? That's the power of connection. And as we grow older, that connection becomes a lifeline, not just emotionally, but physically too. Studies have shown that people who maintain meaningful relationships as they age actually live longer and healthier. But I'm not just talking about having people around. I'm talking about real connection. The kind where you feel seen, heard, and understood. The kind that reminds you, you still matter. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, but most of my friends are gone, or I feel like I've become invisible, I want to tell you something gently but firmly: it's never too late to reconnect. It's never too late to start new conversations, build new bonds, or even mend old ones. You don't need a dozen people in your corner. Sometimes, one good listener is enough. Maybe you join a walking group, a painting class, or a local book club. Or maybe you call that cousin you haven't spoken to in years. Human connection doesn't always knock on your door, you have to open it first. And the act of reaching out can be just as healing as the connection itself. But connection isn't just with others, it's also with yourself. When was the last time you truly checked in with how you're feeling, not just physically, but emotionally? Sometimes we get so used to putting on a brave face that we forget to ask ourselves, what do I need right now? You see, aging gracefully doesn't mean pretending everything is fine all the time. It means giving yourself permission to feel. To slow down when you need to. To cry when you need to. And to celebrate yourself when you've come through something hard, which, let's be honest, happens more often than most people realize. You've made it through loss, through changes, through seasons of uncertainty. That deserves to be honored. That brings us to another essential habit for longevity: nourishing your inner world. And no, I don't mean just eating more vegetables, though of course, that helps too. I'm talking about feeding your mind and soul. What you read. What you watch. What you believe. One of the most powerful choices you can make each day is what kind of input you allow into your space. Are you surrounding yourself with things that uplift you? Are you reading stories that spark your imagination? Are you spending time in nature, breathing in the quiet wisdom of trees and rivers and birdsong? There's a kind of quiet joy that comes from being present with the world. From noticing the little things, the morning light on your windowsill, the way the breeze moves through the trees, the sound of laughter on a nearby street. These moments aren't small. They're sacred. And when you start paying attention to them, your days become richer. And don't be afraid to keep learning. I don't care if you're 65 or 95, your mind still has room to grow. Try a new recipe. Learn to play the ukulele. Start that memoir you've always wanted to write. The more you engage your brain, the stronger it stays. And the more you challenge yourself, the more alive you'll feel. I once met a man named Chow who decided, at age 70, to learn how to use a computer for the first time. He had always let his kids handle the emails and online stuff. But one day, he said, I want to see the world too. So he started slow. One button at a time. It took him weeks to send his first email, but the pride in his voice when he said, I did it, was unforgettable. Today, he video chats with his grandchildren overseas and even runs a tiny online journal where he shares poetry. He didn't just learn a new skill. He reopened the door to the world. That's what persistence looks like. It's not flashy. It's not always fast. But it's powerful. It's waking up each morning and deciding, I'm still here. And I'm going to keep growing. And when you start living from that place, not fear, not resignation, but quiet determination, you begin to feel something shift. Your body might still have its limits, sure. But your spirit? Boundless. Now I want to talk about something just as important as your thoughts and your movement, rest. Not just sleep, but true rest. The kind that allows your mind to quiet down and your body to recover. We live in a world that glorifies busyness. Even at 60 or 70, many people feel like they have to stay productive all the time. But longevity doesn't come from running yourself into the ground. It comes from knowing when to pause. When to breathe. When to give yourself grace. So take that nap. Light that candle. Sit in silence. Do nothing, if that's what your soul needs. Rest is not laziness. It's fuel. And when you combine rest with purpose, movement, connection, and growth, you create a life that's not just long, but rich and full. Let's keep going, because the journey to lasting health and joy doesn't stop here. The journey to lasting health and joy doesn't stop here. If anything, this is where it gets even more meaningful. Because now we come to something that holds all the other habits together. Something that can fuel your spirit on the toughest days and lift you higher on the best ones. I'm talking about gratitude. I know, gratitude might sound like one of those nice, fluffy ideas people toss around in books or greeting cards. But don't be fooled. Gratitude is powerful medicine. It's not just about feeling thankful. It's about training your mind to see differently. To focus on what's still good, what's still working, what's still beautiful in your life, even if some things have changed or been lost along the way. Every day gives you a choice. You can focus on what's missing, or you can notice what remains. I remember speaking to a woman who had lost her husband after 52 years of marriage. She was in her late 70s. And she told me, every morning, I wake up, look out the window, and say thank you, for one more sunrise. That was her ritual. Her way of holding on to the light, even when the world felt a little darker. And over time, she said it made her feel stronger. Not because the pain disappeared, but because the gratitude gave her a reason to keep living. So here's a small but mighty habit to try. At the end of each day, write down, or even just whisper to yourself, 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. In fact, the smaller, the better. A warm cup of tea. A smile from the neighbor's kid. The sound of your favorite old song on the radio. When you start noticing these tiny gifts, you realize, your life is still full. And when you feel full, your body responds. Your heart rate lowers. Your stress levels drop. Your sleep improves. It's as if your whole system sighs in relief and says, "Ah, yes. Life is still good." But even with all this, mindset, movement, purpose, rest, and gratitude, there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to talk about. And that's forgiveness. This one's a little harder. But it's just as important. You see, as we grow older, we carry a lot with us. Not just memories, but regrets. Old wounds. Bitterness we thought we buried years ago. And the truth is, those things weigh us down in ways we can't always see. They sap our energy. They cloud our thinking. They keep us stuck in the past, when we should be walking freely into the future. Forgiveness doesn't mean saying what happened was okay. It means saying, "I won't carry this pain anymore." It means choosing peace over anger. Freedom over resentment. And that's a choice you make not for the other person, but for you. I've known people who forgave decades after the fact. A brother who finally called his sister after 30 years of silence. A woman who forgave herself for something she'd done at 21. And do you know what they all said? "I feel lighter." So if there's something heavy on your heart, something you've been holding onto for far too long, maybe now's the time to set it down. Not because time heals everything, but because you deserve the peace that comes with letting go. You've earned it. And here's the beautiful thing, every day you wake up is a new chance to make these choices. To nurture your mind, move your body, feed your spirit, rest when needed, connect deeply, and live lightly. You might be 60, or 70, or even 90, but that number doesn't define you. What defines you is how you live. And how you love. And how you keep showing up, not just for others, but for yourself. So let's take a deep breath together. Right now. Inhale, and exhale slowly. That breath? That's your reminder. You're still here. Still growing. Still becoming. And you're not alone on this path. There are thousands of others, maybe even millions, who feel the same quiet strength rising inside them. Who've faced loss and change and still choose joy. Who understand that true longevity isn't just about years added to life, but life added to years. It's in the stories we tell, the hugs we give, the gardens we plant, the songs we sing, the lessons we pass on. That's where the real richness lies. So whether today is a good day or a heavy one, just remember, your life still has meaning. Your story still matters. And the best chapter? It might be the one you're writing right now. If this message spoke to your heart, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories, your challenges, your victories, your little daily joys. And if you found something helpful in this video, go ahead and click that like button. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future videos that bring more light, more wisdom, and more strength into your days. You deserve to feel alive. You deserve to feel strong. You deserve to wake up each morning knowing that this life, your life, is still full of promise. Here's to living your best life at any age. Here's to you.